What is up, everybody? Welcome to another very special episode of the Start, Build, Grow Show. All right, everybody. This one is a long time coming. And our guest today is a very, very special guest in my life, obviously, and we'll kind of go dive into that a little bit. But today's guest is got an incredible story, an incredible journey that we're going to share. And he is a renowned author of now 3 books, life coach, business coach, and the CEO of Dream Again LLC. And that is the Chief Encouragement Officer and motivational speaker, pastor, and it just so happens to be my dad, Frank Sinclair. What is up? Welcome. It's been such a long time. Welcome to the show.
I know it's been your whole life.
It has, right? It's been 40 years in the making here.
I know, yeah. I can't beg my son to be on his show. I keep seeing all these wonderful guests and things on the Start, Build, Grow show, and how he's grown so much, and it's an honor to be on with this guy that I'm proud of more than anyone else on earth.
Oh, man, I very much appreciate that. And one thing I didn't mention, too, is you have a radio show that you do that I had a chance to be a guest on recently. So you got a lot of cool stuff going on, speaking, writing books, running your own business now. But let's get started with let's go all the way back. Because you have such a cool story, even cool testimony, if you will. How did you, get, let's go even before I came into the world, how did you kind of get to where you are, today? Give us the bullet points.
Well, getting where I was, born into a sharecropping family in North Carolina, way back, growing up in segregation. Our schools didn't integrate until I was in the 8th grade. So I had this inherent peace in me that I felt like I was less than other people. So always feeling like I had something to prove and somewhere to destination that I couldn't go because all the limitations I felt like my life had brought me. So spent 8 years in the Air Force, decorated Air Force guy from year 1 through 7. Was the second youngest person of my rank in the entire Air Force by the time I got to my 7th year. And then the voices began. All the voices that told me who I wasn't, all the voices that told me why I wasn't, and they were overwhelming, Randy, to the point that I began to drink real heavily, and I ended up sabotaging my Air Force career. By year 8, I ended up as a homeless guy in the streets here in Colorado Springs.
Man, it's so powerful, and I think there's something we can all relate to that. And one of our big, we with the Roofing Academy, and we got the Roofing Success Summit coming up, and I really believe in giving back, and we've partnered with a company called Roofers in Recovery. And the reality is, every time I bring that up, every time we talk to anyone in a crowd, on the show, every single one of us has some sort of impact or has been impacted in one way or another by addiction and those sort of things. And I know we're kind of, in this show, we'll kind of probably jump all over the place, but that's such a core component of who you have become and how you're able to overcome that. So, I want to dive into that a little bit. So, and I've heard the story. Obviously, I didn't know you back then. I was before my time. But,
Right.
Coming from someone who was decorated in the Air Force, literally ending up on the street, living under a bush, to someone who then, was able to, get your life back together and get sober, and then also, create this, this other journey of your career, and then also, your new job as a dad, as a parent, right? Because, and obviously, I don't know, some of you listening to this, or some of you who have not, a lot of you know my story, and we're very open. I was raised in a mixed family. My dad married my mom when I was 18 months old. So before I really even knew anything, that he was my dad, right? So you're my dad from when I was a little kid. And obviously that created a really interesting dynamic that very few people in the world can say they grew up in this, in this mixed household. And fittingly enough, we're recording this in the month of February, which is, Black History Month. And it's really important to me. It's really important to our family to share that, and to all my organizations to really, emphasize the importance of Black history. And that's part of the reason why we're able to kind of do this, and why we did the show at this time, to kind of share some of our journey as well. But let's pick up, living on the streets. What happens next?
Well, man, I kind of integrated myself right in, right? Because in my mind, this is exactly where I was supposed to be. And these people were living the life that I thought that I was really born to live. That was that Air Force time, that success in the Air Force was an anomaly. This was the truth about me. So I just integrated into the homeless community, just became a part. Matter of fact, I was a leader in homeless culture back then. Wherever you are, I had to lead or get out the way, right? So, and as I slept underneath this bush, Richard Brooks, I still remember it now because he's still my friend. March will be 40 years ago now that this happened. He stopped by, man, and asked me to tell my story. We're a storytelling family. That's why you guys that know Randy knows his story. Everyone in our family we tell our stories. Mm-hmm. I told my story to him, and he took me home. He led me into to a church relationship with Jesus Christ, and my life totally changed. And lo and behold, a year later, I met your mother.
Yep. So pretty much church. At the time I was being born, this was happening, right? You were living under a tree.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. Sure enough, when you were being born, I was sleeping underneath a bush out in Acacia Park.
Awesome.
And by God's grace and mercy, Debbie came to Colorado with your dad, and they didn't make it. And at the beginning of our relationship, I think I used to send Ronnie a thank you card.
Yeah. Yep. So, and carrying it on, and we'll skip past a lot of the those years here, but the thing that really stands out is that leadership aspect. Like, I didn't even really know what I was being taught at an early age, but even living on the streets, you were always a leader, right? And in the Air Force, you were a leader. Then you got involved with the church, and I remember, always, you leading churches and being a leader involved in the church. And then you had your own church for a while, and then everything you've done, you've always been a leader. And what that has taught me, just inadvertently, is just I was always kind of surrounded by this leadership between you and even my mom. And then fast forward, we all grew up, and you grew up, we all grew up together, if you will. And now we're a team, a family that is dedicated towards, sharing our story, using our story and our journeys to teach leaders. And here we are. This podcast is a podcast about leadership, a podcast about, growing and developing leaders and sharing the entrepreneurial journey. And it wasn't until, later in life that, that you dove into the entrepreneurial world. I want to kind of get fast forward to that, but show my piece of it. Early on, I don't know what it was, but maybe it was some of those leadership qualities that I learned early on, and just what I observed as a kid. I just I was in a position where I just had this natural instinct of I want to not only lead, but if I want to make something of myself, if I want to go buy the latest, coolest, best toys and the Jordans and whatever else, you and mom worked hard, but we weren't really in a position to just live lavishly and be able to have all those things. So I always, had that instinct early on of go figure it out and find a way to make something happen. And, started my first lawn mowing business. And, when I was a little kid, I remember you kind of helped me with that. You taught me how to run a lawnmower, and I took that lawnmower that you bought and turned it into a business. Right. And, so fast forward, you guys know my story, and I was been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole life. And you were an entrepreneur as well. You ran a church. You started churches, but then you went back into the workforce. And then kind of crazy how it's all transpired and all happened is, I remember a time where, at one point I own a roofing company. There was a point in my roofing company that I had 8 different family members working for the roofing company, including yourself. And that is where we're going to pick up the story, because we had brought you on. I've always known your incredible ability to network and connect with people and network yourself and be really integrated with your community. And I was like, hey, why don't you do that and try to drive business for the roofing company? And you did that, but then you took it to a whole nother level. So let's pick up the story there and share how you kind of got into entrepreneurship and how you started your company.
Well, entrepreneurship for me, you're the reason I'm an entrepreneur.
Wow.
It's you. Yeah, absolutely, and it's without a doubt. You're the original entrepreneur in our family that really kind of paved the way, because I still dealt with a lot of insecurity, a lot of fear issues along the way, and still not feeling like I was up to it. Didn't feel like that I could really venture into this world. But I did spend a lot of time in corporate life doing interpersonal communications, leadership development, and diversity work on a corporate platform as well. So those have set the pace and really the foundational principles for me becoming an entrepreneur. Then I woke up one day, and this is exactly how it was happening, because I was working for you. And I was like, I was not the best, I'll be perfectly honest, in that role, working for Randy and et cetera. And I said, who in the world has 3 children who have this kind of forward movement in business? And what's the common denominator behind 3 children from the same family doing this type of work in the world? And I had to look in the mirror, Randy, and honestly, and I said, and this was no pride involved at all. It was like, I'm part of that.
Yeah.
I'm one of those denominators around these kids unfolding and creating this space for other human beings in such a powerful way. And the next day I went and registered Dream Again Business Consulting. And it's been almost 5 years ago now.
Wow, that's cool, and I love that, because I feel like, I've interviewed hundreds of entrepreneurs on this show, and the one correlation that we all have is we all have that epiphany, that moment where we decide that whatever it is that's that external force that tells us, we wake up one day and we're like, we're going to do this. We're going to jump off the bridge. We're going to start building our wings. We're going to become an entrepreneur. We're going to take control of our destiny, and we do that. And it's so cool. That's why I always dive into that story, because everyone is correlated there, but what leads up to that is always different. And you didn't know that all the corporate experience. I remember you traveling and doing seminars for companies, doing diversity training and leadership training and all that. And now you get to do that on your own, controlling your own destiny, and you're growing your business, which is super cool. And hey, he at the time it was, hey, we're just looking for people to try to grow our business. I'm like, hey, Dad, do you want to come work here? He's like, sure, let's try it, but that's the reality of it is, a lot of us do that in business and roofing. We tend to kind of just go and hire our family and hire whoever we can to try to put people in the right position. And then what the challenge is, we don't know where to go from there. And if it's a situation where we're not the best fit, right? Yeah. How do you handle that, and how do you maintain a family relationship? And I think one of the things that I guess I could take away from that, or I can share for those of you who are in this situation where you're thinking about or have hired family early on, and even with you, I had the discussion. Okay, family is family, business is business.
That's right.
And if you're bringing on a family member, I'm treating you as if you are an employee hired to do a job with KPIs, with certain expectations. And if you don't meet those expectations, business is business, family is family. We'll always have love, we'll always have our family, we'll always have that dynamic. And it's so hard to actually live that out. And that's very true. There's so many families that are completely destroyed because of business. But if there's anything I can say out there to encourage, the listeners, is a lot of us work with our families, and we really need to be understanding and set that expectation early on, that I love you no matter what, you're my family no matter what, but I have a responsibility to do what's right and do what's best for my business, with or without you. And that's hard, but it's real.
It is very real, and it's a standard that I set with clients today, business is business, right? So, you got to start separating those things, even if it's not at such a deep level as a family. But one only thing you need is one bad employee to ruin your business, right?
Yeah.
And then everyone else see that bad employee is not living up to the standards and to the values, the mission, and the vision of that company. And no matter who that person is, if they're not doing that, they don't need to be a part. And it was a launch pad for me, because working for you gave me the opportunity to integrate myself very deeply into the business culture here in Colorado Springs. I became very, very known through that part of my work with Elite, and giving me the freedom to make the kind of connections I needed to make. So when I launched into Dream Again, I was a known commodity as a business person.
Yep.
I was already known, liked, and trusted. So you really, when I say you were really kind of the linchpin behind my being able to do this work, it's the truth.
Yeah, and I love that, and it's so cool, and it really kind of hits home with, I talk about, and we're getting ready to do this big event coming up, and by the time this is, being aired, it's probably going to be too late, but we're doing an event called the Roofing Success Summit, and as I'm working on my talk and what I'm going to be focusing on and talking about, so much of it has to do with, leadership and purpose and how to build and instill your core values and your guiding principles and all these sort of things. And one of the big takeaways there is we don't know what the future is going to hold. We don't know, what we're learning now and how that's going to transpire in the future. And you're able to I'm able to take lessons I learned from that situation, what you learned from that situation. And now we've both been able to kind of circle all the way back around to where here we are, helping each other from different perspectives. I've come down and spoken at your events or speaking at my events, and now we're able to kind of incorporate that, but the thing is if you have purpose, if you have a why, if you have values and you are true to those, you don't have to know the end game. You don't need to know what's coming, what's going to happen next. And that's something I've learned from you, is just be true to who you are and be true to your values. And you've always instilled that, early on. And here we are. We never know what the future holds, but as long as we're true to what we believe in, the future starts to manifest itself, and things tend to work out for the better, right? So we're going to take a quick break. This show, we hundreds of episodes. We're doing a great job of this. Would not be possible without our amazing sponsors and their support. So we'll see you in just a minute.
JobNimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
We can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
Stop driving job site to job site or texting and emailing photos. Know what's happening across your business. Get started for free today.
All right, guys, welcome back. We are here with Frank Sinclair, the Chief Encouragement Officer of Dream Again LLC. And as we go into the second part of the show here, really what I want to kind of dive into is some of the core teachings and the core, things that make up Dream Again and make up what you do on a day-to-day basis. You were able to launch your business because of a network that you built and some things that you learned for years and years and years of doing diversity and leadership and being in the corporate world. You're able to kind of pick up on a number of different things that has allowed you to then turn that into a business that's having an incredible impact in your community to business owners all over the place. Let's talk about that. Let's dive into that stuff a little bit. Like, what are some of the core things, that you deliver and how you came up with your version of the CEO of Dream Again?
Well, I'll start with that nugget because Barnabas in the Bible was Barnabas in Greek means son of encouragement. That's what the name means, right? And I've always been told from a perspective of interpersonal work that I do with other humans that I'm an encouraging guy. That you love people, man. That you really make people feel good. And I took that, quite frankly, I didn't think that I'd be a very good chief executive officer.
Fair enough.
And I still wanted to be a CEO, right? So I just made up a title for myself, chief encouragement officer, from the beginning. And I made that, and we branded it. We branded everything that we said, everything that I posted, every talk that I gave, everything that I do has an encouragement component to it. And so if you'd ask anyone that knows me in business, they say, what's the chief characteristic of Frank Sinclair? They'll immediately say encouragement.
Yeah.
And that came from a book I was reading like 7 years ago. And this leader said, what is the best thing that any leader can do in their lives before they go out and try to influence other humans? He says, be encouraged. You have to be encouraged yourself if you're going to create that type of space, environment, and opportunity for other people. Man, that struck such a chord with me, Randy, that it was like a light bulb moment. Bam! That's who I am. That's what I'm going to do. And everything that I lead with and everything that creates space at Dream Again is going to evolve around encouraging other people. My vision is to create an opportunity for every human being to realize who they are so that they can lean into their purpose and create the space that they were designed to create and to serve other humans well.
I love that. It's well written, and we talk about so many people. I mean, yes, companies, they all have core values, whether they've written them, whether they've intentionally, focused and built them, or they just happen by default and they don't even know what they are, but they have them regardless, right? There's always the core values. But how many people actually spend time on personal core values, personal guiding principles? And as a business coach myself, we have a very sophisticated system that we teach, our proprietary operating system to teach you cradle to grave from lead gen all the way to collecting money, like every component of building and growing and duplicating and creating a sustainable, profitable roofing business. But that's just one small piece of what it actually takes to be successful. Because you can learn all the tools, you can have all the technology, you can have all the marketing, all the leads, all the people there. But if the leader isn't, leading with a purpose and operating from a place of encouragement and operating from a place of true belief in themselves and true belief that they can succeed, man, it's just a matter of time before issues and things are going to happen within a business.
Indeed. Yeah. And you say that, and you, once again, I know I blow your horn because, dads are supposed to be proud of their sons, right? And I don't think very many people are more proud of a man that's done such wonderful work and has such beautiful core values that he lives than you are. And I describe it this way to people, Randy. I say a river without banks is simply a puddle. So a human without values doesn't have anything that controls the stream of their lives. And if they are willing to jeopardize those at every turn, then they don't have any solid foundation to stand on as they're trying to move forward. Those are your non-negotiables in life, are your values. And if you don't stand by those, then any bump in the road, any turbulence that comes along the way will derail your direction and keep you from being the very best person that you can be.
Man, I love that. And generally, as we kind of start to wind the show down, I'm going to always put our guests on the spot and just give me your golden nugget. But I feel like the last 20 minutes have been golden nuggets, which is incredible and so valuable. We talk so much about the tangibles in business and the plug and play system, the process, but we don't talk enough about the intangibles. the human element of business, and the connectivity of people and leadership and ownership of who you are, and being the best version of yourself in order to lead. And I truly believe, and I listen to a lot of Craig Rochelle, with Life Church, obviously, great author, speaker. I've seen him in person. I'm listening to his podcast quite a bit on leadership, and he says everyone wins when the leader grows, when the leader gets better. And that's just so simple, but also vitally important. And you've built an entire, business and culture around that. So let's digress a little bit and get into the business piece of that, because we're entrepreneurs. We're entrepreneurs who are listening to this, and it's not all gravy. You're right. Entrepreneurship is a bumpy, crazy road. Walk me through some of the challenges that you've experienced on trying to build a business, kind of a unique, business in the consulting space within Dream Again.
Well, I've experienced the same challenges that every entrepreneur has, slow growth, coming out of not really positioning yourself rightly, not being clear on what you are doing, and et cetera. If you think of a mistake, I've made it. So, right? But those are the things. My first book was called Dream Again, Lessons on Leveraging Your Pain. And the reason I wrote that is because without the pain points in life, you'll never grow as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You never become all that you're supposed to be without navigating the pain points. Pain is inevitable. Growth is optional. So you can take the growth from the pain and grow on it, or you can take it and begin to walk yourself backwards right out of business or away from the influence that you were designed to have on earth. It's totally up to you. But you need to surround yourself with great people that hold your hands up, hold your butt to the fire, hold you accountable to the things that you say you will do, and more importantly, who you say you are. And I think, we talk about the industry that you're in, Randy. We talk about blue collar industries and et cetera. I think sometimes that becomes the greatest challenges, having great leaders in those industries. And thank you for modeling that well. And I know that's the reason that you succeed in influencing other businesses to a great degree and a lot of people around you.
Yeah, thank you. I very much appreciate that. And obviously there's a lot of blue collar, a lot of contractors, roofing contractors that listen to this show, watch this show, and you do work with, a lot of blue collar, but you work with lots of different companies, small businesses, business owners that are struggling and challenging to kind of get over that hump. It seems like, as I'm coaching someone in the roofing space, that first couple years, as much as you want to have a system and you want to have it all figured out, you don't. There's so many things you just have to work through, and you just have to have that unwavering grit to get through it. And you just have to have that belief that I will solve this problem and I will learn from it and I will get better. And that's a rite of passage that nearly every business owner goes through, especially contractors. Obviously, I'm in the contracting space, but you probably see that across the board. And how do you teach that? Like, I can give you systems, process. I can teach you how to operate your business. I can teach you how to look at a P&L and make financial decisions and hire people and do all the things. But I can't teach you how to wake up in the morning and be optimistic that you're going to solve whatever problem that is in front of you while working on building the systems for your business. And that's just kind of a rite of passage. And for those of you who are going through that, the only way to get past it is to get through it. You've got to just wake up every day and be encouraged, as Frank would say, and solve the challenge in front of you and take it one step at a time. And there will be a point that it breaks. It's going to break, and you're going to get to a point where, like, man, I made it through that. You look back and you look at all the things you've learned, and now you're able to start to take all those things, those lessons, a lot of them really challenging, really hard, and you start to put them together and say, all right, now I can get more clarity and direction and step by step on how to actually turn this into a machine that works and systems that you can kind of duplicate and repeat. But that rite of passage, that first year, that first 6 months, that first 2 years, man, you just got to wake up and be willing to take whatever comes at you and have the faith and encouragement to just work on through that, right?
Yep. Yeah, I frame it this way, Randy. The process of business is the same for everybody. So when you step into this arena, remember this. The process is not going to change for you. Right? It's not going to change for anyone. That is the process, and it's rightly so, because the process will eliminate those that can't, and it'll celebrate those that can, and both win. Because those that can't get the opportunity to go do the things that they can do, take care of their families well, go work for someone, do that. There's no shame in that whatsoever. And those that they can continue to create space and service for other human beings.
Man, I love that. And I need to have a notebook, taking notes here on this. You've been giving us a bunch of golden nuggets. So let's try to apply one thing real quick, because in the roofing space, one of the most important components to growing a roofing company is networking yourself and building a brand for yourself and connecting with others. And you're well known as a master networker. Give me a couple tips and tricks of how to be a great networker and how to build a network of people. I mean, there's so many contractors that ask me all the time, marketing, what do I do? Do I spend money on here? Do I spend money on videos? Do I spend money on this? And I tell them, network yourself, build relationships. That's really important, and it's free. It just takes your time. Give us some tips on how to really make the most of networking abilities.
Indeed. I've been named the top networker in my region for the last 3 years. And voted on by other people that vote on networking. And network is your net worth, right? Because what you have to do, really, number one, you have to be a person that tells the truth. You have to be honest, because you will not maintain a relationship with culture. Matter of fact, Randy and I live in 2 different cultures, right? Randy's culture is more leaning. It's a lot of networking that happens in the Denver metro area, but it more leans towards a transactional culture.
Yeah.
So people move and shake, and they do it quickly and make business. Nothing wrong. I live in a relational culture where we often say it kind of moves like the speed of molasses, right? It's very slow to get business established and to gain that traction that you're looking for in business in Colorado Springs. Those are the differences in the culture. So identify the culture that you're in. Figure out where you move the best in so that you can be your authentic self there. And once you determine that you're going to be your authentic self and you live into that, gain some allies, 5 people or so that are invested in your movement, invested in who you are as a human being, and begin to allow them to pour into you and you pour into them. And then you continue to expand out that network with these trusted people in your life. So you got to build people, you got to gain trust, you got to tell the truth. You got to tell, I can't overemphasize that. You got to tell the truth and be honest and transparent and vulnerable in space, and people will allow you into their world where you want to be, and then you will create those relationships that gain you a following and also that you can monetize.
Yep, and that's what builds the business. And what's the old saying is people people buy from people they know, like, and trust, but people support and want to help people that they know, like, and trust. In a networking environment, it's the same concept. Get to know them, truly like them, and then maybe they're going to like you and get them to trust you. And that's where being honest, transparent, and authentic. I love that, man. That's so valuable, and I think that's a great nugget for those who are listening and watching this to take and apply that to their own to their own efforts in networking. I mean, your network is your net worth. I love that, and we all are trying to grow something, build our business, families, build our community, build our relationships, our friendships, and all those things. And if you're truly authentic and genuine and honest, man, you have such a leg up, because the reality of it is who you are on Friday night and Saturday night is who you are on Tuesday morning at the networking group. People see through that all day, every day. So be yourself and be genuine. And if you're not happy with yourself, find a way, find a mentor, find someone to help you, really tap into who you are and who you can be. We all have flaws. We all have challenges. Nobody's perfect. But the more we hide and mask ourselves, the harder it is to succeed.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And what a burden to carry anyway.
Oh,
to
man.
try, no one's energized to do things they weren't designed to do. That's why people are quitting jobs en masse, right?
Yep.
Because there simply wasn't their design. If you would put the work and the energy into finding out your particular design on earth, because God created you, the only one, and if you're the only one, doesn't it make sense that you have a specific purpose on earth to accomplish? You need to find that. And then you can lean into it every day with authenticity, and you can have the energy. The reason I'm this old and this energetic is because I'm doing a specific thing that I was designed on earth to do. So every day I'm energized to do it. Can't wait to get back out into the fray.
Yeah,
let's
love
do it again.
And it's it's that transition from, so many people, unfortunately, so many people in this world live for Friday. Okay,
Yeah.
and they can't wait for Friday. They can't wait to get done with their work week. They can't wait to get out of the job. They can't wait to forget and check out and grab their beer, whatever it is they're going to do to go do their weekend, because they just are not happy and being fulfilled Monday through Friday. What we want to do is help people make that transition to live for Monday. If you're not excited and ready to go every single Monday because you have another chance, another week to chase your dreams, to make an impact, man, are you really living your purpose? Ask yourself that. How do we switch from living for Friday to living for Monday? All right.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do in traditional fashion as we start wrapping the show up, and this has been awesome. You give me you're my dad, and we get to talk and hang out on the weekends, and that's always fun. But I feel super encouraged. There's a reason why you're the chief encouragement officer, the most encouraging guy ever. And look at personality tests. I mean, that's one of those things that we might not be blood, but I've learned a lot from you, and probably one of those things that is become a natural part of my own personality. And if you even look at my personal style indicator assessment, it says optimism. Like, optimistic is one of my leading characteristics, and it's just, I'm grateful that it's natural to me, and I think you've contributed to that. But being a great leader, you've got to have a certain level of optimism if you really want to have that impact you're trying to have. So in traditional fashion, you've already hit us with a bunch of golden nuggets, but what's the top golden nugget? I mean, if I were to put you on the spot and say, what's the one thing that you want to pour into and share with our listeners that's going to leave them encouraged, what would that be?
My last nugget, I guess, would be then, Randy, that, you are incredible. You're incredible human beings. You got to believe that. I can't believe it enough for you. You have to believe it inside. Get away from that narrative, the lie that says to believe that you are worthy and amazing and incredible, that sounds arrogant. That's ridiculous on the face of it. Because if you don't believe that, then everything else in your life will come flooding in and create barriers to your becoming your best self. You have so much untapped potential in you that when that begins to boil to the fore, you're going to impact people in such a great way. You won't believe yourself. You're going to have, and that is the point. If you're in business to not serve other human beings, then please get out of business, because the core purpose of your business is wrong. It's all about the service to other humans. And when you can get your arms around that, then you can take the pressure off yourself and go live and thrive and flourish the way that you were designed to.
Love it. All right. This has been such a pleasure hanging out with you, as always, but in more of a business setting. Thank you so much for taking time out today and joining us. For those who want to get a hold of you, where do we find your book, and what's the best way to connect with you?
Well, you can find all three of our books, working on the fourth, on Amazon, the traditional way. So Go on Amazon, just pull up Frank Sinclair, and all the books will appear for you. DreamAgainLLC.com is my website if you want to do your due diligence on who I am as a human being, what I'm up to, and etc. And all my contact information and my calendar is right there. So make an appointment. I'll be glad to do a discovery call with you.
Awesome. And obviously, you're all over social media, LinkedIn. You can always find him there as well. So thank you so much for joining us. Frank Sinclair, i.e. Dad, It's been awesome. We'll definitely have to do this again very soon. And for those of you who are listening, who are watching, thank you so much. If you liked what you heard today, you want to carry on the conversation, please like, please comment, please share this out. It helps us grow the podcast and it helps us impact more people, because that's what we're all about here at the Start, Build, Grow Show. So comment, like, subscribe, share. We appreciate you. You are an incredible person, capable of so much. And we appreciate you. Take care and God bless.